Welcome to Activities of Daily Living. So glad you can join me today. We're going to have a pretty good show today. I'm going to discuss a topic of relationships. Yeah, but these are not the lovey-dovey relationships that we love to talk about. Today, we're going to talk about a very important relationship, the one with yourself, family, and business and work relationships. So, I want you to stay tuned and join us, and we'll be right back. Nurses, are you concerned or frustrated with your career in healthcare? I am LaKyla Tellis of Iconic Voice, and I educate frustrated nurses who want to increase their profits to discover the best way to utilize their nursing skills so that they can position themselves to build the business of their dreams, continue to lead and serve in their communities, and to gain the freedom to enjoy who and what they love. So contact me at LaKylaTellis.com. All right, so let's jump right into it. So, our first thing we're going to discuss is the relationship about self love. Now, I know a lot of you say, hey, I love myself. Yeah, but pay attention. There are many ways to acknowledge how you love yourself. Number one, you have to love yourself, and it does not mean just combing your hair, brushing your teeth, and just getting your nails done. That's not it. Yeah, those are important, of course, but you have to treat your body right. You have to treat your mind right. How do you respect yourself? What type of people do you surround yourself with? How do you spend your time outside of your normal day? Those are the things I want you to ask yourself. For me, when I discuss relationships and self love, I acknowledge me. I acknowledge how I changed my lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, not just shopping and doing those types of things. It's about me being respectful to my mind, me being a leader and setting an example for those around me. I remember growing up, yes, I was comfortable with hanging with certain types of people, but that was because I knew that I could be myself, even though, not to sound vain, but I knew that I was better than them, only because I had different goals than they did. I didn't want to do everything that they did. When I realized that I wasn't doing myself any justice, I started changing who I surrounded myself with. And a lot of times we don't do that because we're actually intimidated by those that are better than us. Now, how sad is that? When we surround ourselves around others who are better than us in our eyes, we can build up ourselves. We can build up our future. But a lot of people, they're so stuck on being seen in a certain way that it interferes with their own growth. So I want you to understand your self-care or your self-love, sorry, is something that you have to learn and adjust to. It's important and it can be challenging, but it's worth it. Now think about your foundation. If your foundation is unstable and shaky, then more than likely, if you're a building, you would have to tear that building down if that foundation isn't right. But we're humans, right? So you wouldn't have to do that. But metaphorically, maybe you should tear it down and start over. And that's not a bad thing. There's ways that you can adjust and make minor changes. That's one thing I will always tell you. Minor changes can make some major impacts in your life. So I want you to take a moment, just, a brief moment. Think about some things maybe you could change. Maybe there's one person at work you should just stop talking to. Maybe there's somebody, when they call you, you're always there for them, but it's always drama. Why don't you take time to talk to someone that maybe wants to ask you, how are you doing? Talk to someone who wants to do something positive, go to a museum or something. That's part of taking care of you. Taking in someone else's drama and negativity, that's not good energy. Don't feed yourself that kind of stuff. So, by definition, self-love by definition, relationships is in relation to one concept or the behavior to something else. So, what is your relationship or your relation to the people that you spend time with? Is it worth your time? Is it good for you? I want you to take time to realize and separate, maybe even make a list. Who are the people that you know that you just love to talk to? They make you feel a certain way. Those are the people you want to continue to socialize with and associate yourself with. Now make another list. Who are the people that you smack your lips and roll your eyes when they call you? Sometimes you just can't even accept their calls. And sorry to be stepping on toes, it just might be a family member. But you have to realize that's okay. You have to take care of you. Now, another important thing is, I want you to realize in a relationship, if you do not have yourself together, how can you be good to anyone else? I want to tell you, these shows that I am doing are about the processes that I personally went through. Me discovering the things that I put myself through. Didn't even realize I was going through certain things. But when I came out of it, I decided I wanted to talk to other people and share with them, you can get out of your situation and you can make a change. It feels good to breathe and just know that I'm living a different life now. And that relationship with myself is so important. I decided to make those changes so that I can do things differently, so I can live differently, because I was causing myself my own drama and my own demise because I was not listening. I was not paying attention. I wasn't aware of the things that I needed to change. So I want you to know, love yourself. It's okay. You're not being selfish. Find that time for yourself. Build your foundation. Remove that negativity from your life that is unnecessary and doing you no good.
Let's be honest. Making a lukewarm marketing video is fairly simple. But who wants lukewarm marketing? Instead, how about something that conveys your unique message? Well, that takes creativity, and creative is what we are. We design custom logos. We even offer professional print services. Our goal is to showcase how good your idea is, no matter what your product is. Whether it's social media marketing for a new author or the artwork for the book itself, we can help. You've created a new app and need a TV commercial to show it to the world. We can help.
Now there's Stork Advisor.
If you're a photographer trying to show off your work in a unique way, we can help. Need a promo for your TV show? We can help with that too.
It's Couch Time with Sonia.
We're an artistic bunch and we love the creative process. We're not trying to be the best in Houston. We're trying to be the best for you.
right. So welcome back. Now we're just jumping to my next topic, or part of my topic, relationships with your family. Now I have a question for you. How often do you feel like you give so much of yourself, but you don't feel like you're receiving something back? I'm here to tell you, don't worry about it. And it's a couple of reasons that you should not worry about it. One, stop giving so much of yourself if you're expecting something back from them. Don't do that to yourself. If you're going to give genuinely, give kindly, give from your heart, and don't worry about who's going to be your next blessing, because it will come, and it may not be the person that needed you who brings you that blessing. So don't ruin your relationship with your family because of that. Another thing I want to tell you, you shouldn't be doing anything for anyone if you're always expecting something in return. That's not good either. So I want you to know, keep giving. It's okay. Give with your heart. Give wholeheartedly. But don't worry about what you are receiving from those persons. Another important key factor when you're dealing with family, communication. I don't know about you, but in my household, and I guess I can say my culture, I was raised, we don't talk much. You don't tell everybody your business, and you don't listen to everybody else's. We didn't gossip. We didn't have those conversations. And that's not good. I admit to it. I don't feel that it was good for me. I'm shy by nature, so I don't talk a lot, surprise. But when it comes down to it, I feel a lot better when I do communicate. How many relationships are broken because of lack of communication? We have to stop assuming that someone can read our minds or just know what we're talking about if we're not clearly stating and discussing things that may be bothering us, things that may be worrying us, or even things that we may be excited about. No one can share your excitement, of course, if they don't even understand why, So it's very important. Make sure that you communicate with your friends, with your family. That's very important in a relationship. Another thing, you have to have boundaries. Again, I said when you're giving to someone, don't worry, but don't let them take advantage of you. Set those boundaries to let them know there are limits to what you can do, what you offer. And it's okay to say no sometimes. Don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty. Never let anyone manipulate you to make you feel like you're doing the wrong thing because you said no. You have the very right to help someone, of course. But never ever feel like you're being forced to do it. You don't owe that to anyone. Well, I take that back. I don't know what you're doing. No, just kidding. But seriously, you have to really consider your relationship with people and your family and really understand that there needs to be boundaries in your relationship. And that's okay. Your family should understand, because I'm pretty sure that they have boundaries with friends or family and things like that. So that goes back to that communication, just having that understanding of being there for each other, being available there for family, but also keeping who in mind? Yourself. That goes with your self-love, your self-respect. Be aware of those things, okay? And now I want you to communicate with your family more. Try it out. I've been personally trying it out with my kids. I don't think they trust me yet, though. I have teenagers, so they're not ready to tell mom everything. But I do want them to know that they can come to me. We can have real conversations. Think about when you were growing up. Who did you talk to? Think about the information you received. It terrifies me just to know or even wonder if my child is going to one of his friends and getting advice. That is not where I want his sources to come from. I want him to know that he can come to the adults in his family, me and his father first, because he's a teenager. They have a lot of questions that they don't want to discuss. But that's who I want him to find as a resource. And it's about me building that relationship. Like I said, when I was growing up, I was raised by my grandmother primarily. So it was a lot of things, like I said, we just didn't do. We did not discuss. So I had a lot of questions and a lot of wonder. I didn't like always being lost. So I found a lot of my answers in books. Now we have Google and things like that. You go to the computer and you find the information you want. But it's not always the accurate information that you would want to share. What are some ways that you would introduce different things to your children, such as the experience of having friends and relationships? How would you communicate with your kids about a new job and just building their self-esteem? These are important conversations that we definitely need to have with our children. There is a lot of things that I feel we do not discuss. So take the time, think about it. I want you to reflect. What are things that you had questions about when you were growing up? What were things that you wish someone had told you, but you had to learn the hard way? Think about those things. So we'll be right back here shortly, and then we'll get to our next segment. Thank you.
Bear. Be authentic, real, and exposed. Becoming Bear is a continual and intentional process that requires courage and perseverance. Life has a way of tainting the realities of who we really are. From the moment we are born, others place their expectations upon us, and we strive to become someone we were never created to be. To experience a fulfilling life of purpose, we must discover our Bear self. Becoming Bear begins with a decision. Will you choose to live in the familiarity of chaos, or will you elect to live in the freedom of becoming your Bear self? Experience freedom and healing. Embrace becoming Bear.
All right, now, welcome back. We'll continue the show with relationships, but now we're going to move along to relationships with work and business. Now, when I discuss this topic, I may be speaking as the actual customer sometimes, and I will speak as that business owner as well, so an employee or an employer. So let's get right into it. My favorite topic is this because most people are not professional. Let's be real. I have been in nursing for almost 20 years. I started when I was 19 years old. So, granted, I was young, but I started early with that proper bedside manner. I always smiled. I'm always polite. No matter what you said, I was still smiling. You could have cursed me out, up, and down, but guess what? I still stayed in my role to provide a service with a smile, no matter what. And more than likely, I would have patients apologizing to me because of their behaviors or attitudes. This is something that a lot of people fail to realize. This is important. The way you treat people, the way you talk to people. especially if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur needs to know customer service is number one. It is key. Your job is to earn or make money, right? So how can you do this if you don't treat your customers right? You can advertise, you can market, but those reviews will get you. You know that, don't you? So why don't you start off right and communicate, with the right attitude, have a smile, even the way that you carry yourself as a person, that's important. And it says a lot about you and your business. So don't think that you can't be yourself, but you must realize you have to be professional. That's a priority when you're transitioning, whether you're an employee or an employer. You have to be able to market yourself for whatever your venture is. Another thing I find important in customer service, don't argue. It's not worth it, believe me. Sometimes that fight is just not one that you want to have. Try to find a way to rectify the situation. This is a relationship that you need. Marketing from a person's word of mouth will do you more harm or good than marketing on social media, on TV, or what avenue you choose to use. So beware and be careful how you treat people, how you talk to people, how you serve people. You need people because you can't make the money by yourself or run that business by yourself. Also know that you have to work with your employees. I'll tell you this, I've been at both ends of nursing. So what I mean, I've worked the floor and I've done management. I can work the floor with no problem. Management, I had issues with. I wanted to see change, and I had no problem with telling people what to do. But that was not how I wanted to lead. I wanted to show people how to actually be good leaders, to be great employees. And I treated them with respect. Sometimes that's not what they're looking for. And sometimes they just don't respond to it. And that's part of the reason I ventured out on my own, because I knew that even though I took on the opportunity to be a nurse manager, I could not have much say-so on how I wanted to lead and educate and train the employees that I was working with. And it wasn't right that if their behaviors were, or the staff I'm referring to, if their behavior was unacceptable, there was really no type of discipline. And that's not good for the company. Our goal is to give the best care possible, right? So that was my focus with customer service. That was my important niche. I'm always concerned about making my patients happy and making sure that they're safe, of course. I know that there are some people that I did have an impact on and that I influenced to do better. I still communicate with a lot of nurses who continue on in their career, and I am so thankful to have them as my friends who keep me motivated to continue to learn and continue to do things great in our communities. When you're an entrepreneur, it's different, but the concepts are still the same. You have to build a relationship with your community. You should build a relationship with the people that you are serving. Do not come out as self-serving. You really need to consider, how are you being viewed and looked at by the people that you want to attract? It's a very important concept that you should be aware of. There are many things that you need to learn. And I do recommend reading some books on being an entrepreneur. I've read quite a few books to change how I was presenting myself and how I was starting out in my community. I had actually moved from Chicago and moved to a different city. In relationships and your business, there are many things to consider. But most importantly, realize that the relationships that you build are so important. Make sure you focus and you acknowledge the people that you are serving when you're ready to build your business. I want to thank you for joining me today for this show, and I want to see you next week for our next episode. You have a great one. Thanks for tuning in.